Myself Siddharth Chauhan, welcome to Easy Medchem. Today's our lecture topic is to cover what all the structures are going through the foraminas which we have learnt in the previous part of the video. So, in the previous part of the video we learnt about the foraminas which are going through the anterior cranial fossa, middle cranial fossa and posterior cranial fossa. From the anterior cranial fossa, foramen cecum, ethmoid foraminas in the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone is present. In the middle cranial fossa, optic canal, superior orbital fissure, foramen rotundum, foramen ovale, foramen spinosum, foramen lacerum and carotid canals are present. In the posterior cranial fossa, the internal acoustic meatus, jugular foramen, hypoglossal canal and foramen magnum are present. Today we will be covering what all the nerves and what all the structures are going through these foraminas in this part of the video. So, in the anterior cranial fossa, the foramen cecum is going. From the foramen cecum, the emissary vein to the superior sagittal sinus is going. From the foramen cecum, the emissary veins are going. And in the ethmoid foraminas which are present in the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone, from the ethmoid foraminas, the anterior and posterior ethmoid artery, veins and nerves are going, isn't it? From the cribriform plate which is present in the ethmoid bone in the anterior cranial fossa, the olfactory nerve which is the cranial nerve number first is going through it. So that's all for the anterior cranial fossa. From the anterior cranial fossa, the foramen cecum, ethmoid foraminas and cribriform plates are present. In the middle cranial fossa, the optic canal is present. From the optic canal, the optic nerve, ophthalmic artery, central retinal vein and artery, sympathetic nerve fibers are going. So, in the middle cranial fossa, from the optic canal, the optic nerve, ophthalmic artery and central retinal vein, artery, sympathetic nerve fibers are going. Second one is the superior orbital fissure. From the superior orbital fissure, the oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, ophthalmic nerve which are having the lacrimal, frontal and nasociliary parts, abducens nerve and the ophthalmic veins are going in the superior orbital fissure. From the foramen rotundum, the maxillary nerve of the trigeminal nerve is going, of the cranial nerve number 5th is going. Okay. From the ovale, foramen ovale, the otic ganglia, accessory meningeal artery, emissary vein, lesser petrosal nerves are going. From the foramen spinosum which is present just inferior to the foramen ovale, from the foramen spinosum, the middle meningeal artery and the veins are going. Foramen lacerum, from the foramen lacerum, the greater petrosal nerve, small emissary vein, meningeal branch of the ascending pharyngeal arteries are going. Okay. And the last one is the carotid canal. From the carotid canal, the internal carotid artery and the nerve plexus are going. So that's all for the middle cranial fossa. From the middle cranial fossa, the optic canal, superior orbital fissure, foramen rotundum, foramen ovale, foramen spinosum, foramen lacerum, carotid canal and all the structures which are going through these foraminas, we learnt about this. And the last one is the posterior cranial fossa. In the posterior cranial fossa, the internal acoustic meatus is present. From the internal acoustic meatus, the facial nerve, vestibulocochlear nerve and the labyrinthine arteries are going. The second one is the jugular foraminas. This is the important one. Jugular foraminas. From the jugular foramina, the glossopharyngeal nerve, vagus nerve, accessory nerve, sigmoid sinus and will become the internal jugular vein. Inferior petrosal sinus is going through it. So this one is important. The sigmoid sinus will become the internal jugular vein in the jugular foramina. Foramen magnum. From the foramen magnum, the medulla oblongata is going, spinal part of the cranial nerve number 11th, which is the accessory nerve. So the accessory nerve, which is the cranial nerve number 11th, is having the two parts, the cranial part and the spinal part. The spinal part of the accessory nerve is going through the foramen magnum and get joined to the cranial part of the accessory nerve, which is the cranial nerve number 11th, and will join there. And vertebral artery, anterior and posterior spinal artery is going through the foramen magnum and all the meninges are going through the foramen magnum. The last one is a hypoglossal canal. From the hypoglossal canal, the cranial nerve number 11th, 12th is going, which is the hypoglossal nerve. Okay. So that's all for the posterior cranial fossa. From the posterior cranial fossa, the internal acoustic meatus, jugular foramina, foramen magnum, and hypoglossal canal, and all the related or associated structures are going through this foraminas. So that's all for this foraminas and skull part. We'll be learning about all the nerves and the cranial nerve in the next part of the video. So do like, share and subscribe my channel and press bell icon for more notification, and do comments also. Thank you. Like, share and subscribe my channel to reboot your knowledge and press bell icon for all notifications.